Hey everyone, getting to see a lot of you guys these days. Guess I got nothing else to do but work in the basement. So I saw this little project here on Pinterest, and we have our auction coming up at the beginning of June. Now I don't know if we're going to have the auction. They just extended the stay-at-home order in Wisconsin until the end of May. So we usually have the auction in the beginning of June. So I don't know if they'll have the auction or not, but I still got to get my stuff ready to go and have it all made. If you remember last year, I made a wine rack last winter, and those went over really good, by the way. So I think one of them went for like almost $100. So anyhow, this year we're gonna do a Redneck doorbell. So this stuff all goes up north, and up north we call ourselves Rednecks because we kind of live off the land. We use rainwater. We don't have the utilities that you do down here, and we live out in the woods. So this is pretty fitting for up there. So I'm thinking, I'll put this in a basket with a bottle of Boone's Farm wine or something like that, and it should sell pretty good, And so that's what we're gonna build today. You haven't seen that other guy around today, have you? Good. Maybe he went somewhere else. So why don't we get started on this? So the first thing I did, these are just pieces of plywood. This is exterior grade plywood, CDX or something like that it's referred to in the store. And these were left over from the shed I built a couple years ago. But it was fresh plywood. So I take it and I kind of distress the wood. And there's videos out there for how they do this. There's different ways of doing it. You can do nuts and bolts. I used a chain for this. You can just take a hammer to it, and all you're doing is trying to dent the wood to make it look old, okay? The best board for this project would probably be an old barn board, but I don't have an old barn board. The second choice would probably be like a 1x lumber that's old, that's been laying around for a while. That looks old, even though it may not be, but I didn't have any of that, so all I had was this plywood, so that's what we're using. So I took a chain and I dented this all up. So if you look at the finished one here, you got the dents and stuff, and that gives it the effect of making it look old, okay? So that's the first thing you want to do is get your board cut. So this board is cut. Hang on, I lost my tape measure. If you don't put it back, you'll never find it. So, this board is cut 7 inches wide by about 16 3/8. Now, I just had a piece laying around that was 7 inches wide, and I basically cut it. It was like, I don't know, it was probably 36 or something, and I just kind of cut it in half. But you can make this board any size you want, okay? Doesn't have to be the exact dimensions I'm making it to. You just need to have enough room for your lettering and put that trap in the middle there somewhere. So, now that you got your board all distressed, you got dents in it and stuff and whatever, now you gotta put your lettering on there. Now because it's just a Redneck doorbell, I just wrote it on with pencil, and However it looks, it's good enough, you know. You can get fancy, you can use stencils, whatever. It doesn't need to be that way. I just freehand everything. So I wrote this on here. I don't know if you can see it real well on the camera. But I wrote that on there. Now I'm going to carve it out with a Dremel tool. So the bit I have in here is just a round bit. I call them lollipops because that's what they look like, a lollipop. And that is probably, oh, I don't know, 1/4 inch in diameter, 3/16 in diameter maybe. It's a pretty good size. Let me hold up the tape measure one, see if I can tell. I would say it's 3/16. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to carve out all these letters. You gotta be a little careful with that tool. The thing can kind of get away on you. You can see on my D here, it kind of got away on me, especially in these plywoods like this where you have a hard wood and a soft wood next to each other. That thing it'll be cut hard and all of a sudden it hits that soft wood and it just takes off on you. And like the curved letters are harder to do. The straight lines aren't so bad, but you know, you just take your time. It'll look okay. I can fill that in with a little putty. Once it's painted, nobody will know the difference. All right, there you have it. As I was grinding these letters out, I thought to myself, you know, you could probably do this with a wood burner if you have one. I don't have one, but you could probably get the same effect with a wood burner. So now, all I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my sander and just get lightly sand that before I paint it. Basically, it was just getting all the fuzzies off of there, and now I got a nice smooth board. So next step on this board now is to just throw some black paint on there. So now I just use whatever I got laying around. I got some Rust-Oleum spray paint down here, so that's what I'm painting this with, and I literally paint the whole board, edges and the face. I don't do nothing with the back, but making sure I get plenty of paint down in the letters, because that's the main part. You want to make sure that's coated good. And the rest of it, if you just get a light coating on the rest, that's fine. And then later on, we're going to come back and we're going to sand this all off. All right, so there it is, all painted up. And we're going to set this aside and let it dry now overnight. And we'll come back tomorrow and sand it. We'll move on to the next step while this is drying. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm going to sweep off our bench here a little bit. The next thing we have to do is weld this trap together. I set this up ahead of time here so it wouldn't take me so long to set up. But I just got it clamped to the board. And I got a pencil shoved under here to hold the plate up in position. and I got a screwdriver under here to kind of, you know, push this arm down here a little bit. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld every pivot point on this trap. Okay, I'll show you a close-up when I'm done. But I'm going to weld the plate to the arm here, the trigger, and then I'm going to weld all these pivot points, and it shouldn't go anywhere. So here's a closer look at that. I just welded all the pivot points, the trigger here, you know, and then I went underneath and I welded on the bottom there a little bit too. Now one thing you want to do is before you start welding is take a wire brush and kind of clean that up a little bit. These are pretty rusty. You can buy these in the store. They're only, I think they were $12 in the store, but I found these in the garage up north. I thought, hey, that's a neat project to do. So, all right. So now that you got this all welded up nice and good, the next thing you need to do is paint it. And I just happen to have one already painted. So I painted the whole chain, everything. I put the red dot in there. You could take this and you could leave it just like this here. I would still paint the red dot, you know. But I think you could just leave it with that rust look to it. That's the in thing nowadays. People like that. But I painted it so it kind of matches the black I'm putting on the board. So the next thing we got to do is sand that board off. And we'll get at that tomorrow, and we'll finish this up. Right. So this board is dry. We're gonna just sand this off quick. Okay, so there it is. All sanded off. You can see all your little dents and stuff in here now that you put in with the chain or whatever you used. And so all we have to do is add the trap to it yet. So this one here, you'll see it looks a little shinier. I shellacked the board afterwards. And I'm not gonna bore you with that. Everybody knows how to put shellac on. So I do that just so that it'll weather a little better for a while, you know, for a few years. Before that shellac wears through, and then after that it is what it is, you know. So I'm just going to position this trap on there the way I want it and mark my hole. Just going to drive the screw in, take the screw back out, and attach the trap. Like that. And we'll put one down here on the end by the chain. And now you can position the chain any way you want. All right, there it is, all finished up. Hope you enjoyed this project. Remember, you can make this any way you want. You don't have to follow my plans exactly. You can use any paint you want, any color you want. You can carve your letters any way you want. Just go out and make yourself a project, you know? Do something with your time right now. All right? So remember, subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you next time.